Let's talk about a movie opening up in this weekend and very limited release, but Roth, you and I both saw it and loved it.
Yes.
And that movie is a little something we like to call Birdman.
We and the people that made it.
Now, yes.
And
Although it actually has, what's the actual
subtitle? The
Is that
subtitle is
Virtue
the
of Ignorance.
Yeah, the unexpected virtue of ignorance is the subtitle.
So the reason why we love Birdman, there are many reasons, but let's talk about one main particular one, which is its star, Michael Keaton. The movie trades on our familiarity with his screen history as Batman. He plays this washed-up actor, best known for playing a superhero in some 90s movies. Now he's trying to stage his big comeback doing a Raymond Carver play that he's writing, directing, and starring. It's all about his ego, yada, yada. But it is a tour de force performance. Roth, give the folks at home some thoughts about Birdman, Michael Keaton, and then I will pose my question to the panel.
Oh, my goodness. A question to the panel. Okay, first of all, I really love this film. It is sadly this weekend opening in only 4 screens, which is really too bad. I hope that it does well enough on those screens this weekend to take open wider. We are assuming that it's going to at a certain point.
It'll be platform, right? Like, I think you can't.
I believe so, yeah. I don't have the actual data in front of me on what those dates would be, but yeah, I think there's going to be so much buzz in this movie. It's it might not go larger than ever like 600 screens, but I think it depends on what happens. Maybe it'll really become the little train that could.
I mean, we've certainly seen that kind of thing happen before. We talked about this earlier. It's a little bit like Mickey Rourke's performance in The Wrestler, though. Yeah. I want to make this clear. I absolutely love The Wrestler, but this movie's a lot more fun to watch. Yeah. It's very it's confronting. It sort of confronts you and it like cuts you. And it exposes things about the way that we deal with media and people who work in media, especially superhero media.
Us.
But it's very also on a human level confronting about ego and things like that, and self-love. But it's also really funny. It's darkly funny. It's quick. It's fast-paced. It's kinetic. It looks as though for the large majority of the movie it's one continuous shot, which I think presented some, it's not, but it looks that way. But I think that the style presented probably some challenges to the actors. Man, they rise to the occasion, especially Edward Norton and Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Edward Norton's phenomenal.
Edward Norton is awesome, and he could very well get an Oscar for this. But my question to the panel is, do you think, could Michael Keaton get an Oscar for this movie?
Like, is he
the guy to beat? And the reason, and basically, will Michael Keaton win an Oscar? And if not, why not? Based on this movie. Actually, Chris, you probably should have asked me that since you haven't seen the movie.
Hey, guys. Should Michael Keaton win the Oscar for this movie? And if he doesn't, why not?
Fantastic question,
That's
Chris.
a really good question, Chris. I'm so glad you asked.
Thank you. Roth, you go first.
You know what? This is the thing. I think that there's an inherently good story to tell in this movie from a PR perspective, where you get to link to Keaton's history as Batman and his sort of career. It is a raw and fearless, I hate to be like this cheesy, but it's true, performance. It's unbelievable. And I don't think you really realize how good he is till the end of the movie, because he's not only acting, he's acting while he's acting. You know, he's performing parts of the...
hard to do.
An actor playing an actor.
He's an actor playing an actor acting in a play. And there's certain points in the play that he is purposely acting better. In the play.
Like he's trying to be, he's showing you scenes where he doesn't quite have it.
Where he doesn't have it, and then he's showing you scenes where he does, and he is totally in control of this entirely out of control character.
Yeah.
It's really magnificent. So I think that the story lends itself to an Oscar campaign, but here's the really big question. The Wrestler looked like it was a really good story for an Oscar campaign too, but Mickey Rourke did not win an Oscar.
He seemed like a shoo-in until.
Quick,
who beat him? I can't remember who. Was it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's always a
business.
safe bet to say Daniel Day-Lewis.
It was Daniel Day-Lewis, Meryl Streep.
I don't think
Daniel
it's either of them.
Day-Streep, that
But
tremendous actor.
The Wrestler, I think, was a slightly less accessible movie. I think that it was not seen by that many people, frankly, as many people. I think that the big thing that hinges on this comeback kid story, like Pulp Fiction, is that it's got to catch on. More people.
Yeah.
People are going to have to go see this movie.
Well, the sad reality of the Academy, the Oscars, whatever, is that people don't watch every movie that they vote on.
They don't.
Which is really, like this performance could get overlooked if it hasn't gotten that proper buzz. That's why they do these campaigns.
Yeah.
That's why they put it in front of people. When you see Oscar campaigns, it happens in variety, but if you live in LA, it happens all around town too. In subtle ways, they do it on TV. They will up their sort of ad campaign around this awards buzz just to say to the Academy, "Hey, Academy, pay attention to our movie because
and they have
it's
to have
worthy."
the money for it.
And they have to have the money for it.
Campaigns are expensive.
Weinstein's are ran such a good game on this in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
That it was almost like they wrote the book on how to do an Oscar campaign. It took.
In fact, they do. I have it right here. How do
Essentially, people feel like they stole, quote unquote, some Oscars from movies like Shakespeare.
Sean Penn won for Milk.
Oh, Sean Penn. Well, I mean it's Sean Penn and Milk. It was great.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, for this movie,
we can't argue with you, Academy, but we are anyway.
No, I will. I thought he was a little hammy on that.
I think Mickey Rourke deserved absolutely the Oscar.
But
for
here's
that
the thing.
However,
I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
No, I'm saying this is like it really doesn't matter ultimately if he wins the Oscar or not, but it is a very good chance for this particular movie as opposed to some of the other things he's been up to.
The great thing about it is that if they can do the campaign, if he starts to build some buzz, and then it's just particularly if he wins, more people will see the movie. I mean, for me, that's one of the biggest benefits of a movie like this getting into the Oscar race.
And Michael Keaton is not the damaged goods that Mickey Rourke was.
That's
Mickey
true.
Rourke also, a lot of people didn't like Mickey Rourke. They didn't like working with him. He was not well liked. It was almost sort of like the fact that the wrestler came around and remember this actor we all fell in love with 20 odd years ago? Michael Keaton took a break of his own accord. He didn't like the movies he was making. He'd rather hang out in his ranch. And then a few years ago, he started coming back and doing things. And he is a well-liked actor, and frankly, he's much more accessible to the public. People still like Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
He was Batman, and I feel like even if these people, even if the Oscar voters don't see Birdman, and I think they will, but even if they don't, they know him, and he doesn't have any real negatives in his column. Whereas Mickey Rourke did. Do we really want to reward this SOB that is kind of a nightmare to work with?
And it's kind of a story that Hollywood likes in a couple of ways. It's a story about Broadway, but it's also definitely a story about Hollywood itself, how movies are being made, what movies are made. It calls out actors very specifically. It's a lot of inside jokes, but that are accessible because we all get it.
And actors are the biggest voting block, and they love voting about things about themselves, like in Shakespeare in Love.
It's about being an actor, right?
Yeah.
But I don't want to limit it to that because I think that's the packaging, but it's really about being a human being.
I think this movie is great for Keaton in that you're like, yeah, that guy, man, that guy.
Yep.
He captures his kind of wild-eyed thing that he did so much of back in the day, but it also shows his range as a character actor that we've come to kind of know more from him now and kind of his post-leading man years. It's really just the perfect thing for him. Although I was saying to Roth, the only other actor I could think of who could do this was Nicolas Cage. But it would almost be more painful because he really is that guy in that movie, which is the guy who is just kind of
now
become a joke.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton was never that. He's playing a pathetic version of the Michael Keaton idea. But he's not that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like this movie, Birdman, the character Regan, who he plays, is Nicolas Cage. He is a guy that was a very well-respected actor, and then a star, and then he did these superhero movies that got increasingly silly as they went along, and no one took him seriously anymore, and his career deflated. And at the very last minute, he tries to pull a Hail Mary and get some prestige by launching this play.
And his whole personal life is in the toilet too.
Everything's in the toilet. I mean, it's really
financially, it's like
it's heartbreaking. And but it's funny also. I mean, it really is a dark comedy. So I feel like with Nick Cage, he would have been great, but it would have been a much darker movie.
You would have been crying, really.
You would have been crying because you're like, this is really your life.
Yeah. It's like it would have been almost too much to watch. But it's kind of like, because somebody posed a question like, does this movie work if you didn't know Michael Keaton's history as Batman? And I'm like, yeah, it would work. But I have no problem with a movie trading on the actor's history.
No.
I mean, Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood, The Shootist, John Wayne, like these things have happened many times, and they do work. Yeah. And it's like, well, if you took it out of the movie, I hate when people do that because it's like, guess what? This is the movie. You're not taking it out of it.
Yeah.
Well, what we should say too about Nick Cage is that Nick Cage's career isn't quite the same because it's not like he was doing superhero movies.
But it was the idea. But they also poke fun though with the kind of movies he did do. Like there is a sequence. It's not really a spoiler because you see it in the trailers, but a lot of these fantastical images that you see in the clips and in the trailers, Michael Keaton's character is having this breakdown.
Yeah.
And so he starts imagining things, imagining he has superpowers, imagining
that he is Birdman to some degree.
He walks into a movie, and there's one point with like this giant bird dinosaur. It's basically
and just
a big
explosions start happening.
Big middle finger to Michael Bay movies, and frankly, like the Nick Cage, Jerry Bruckheimer movies.
Yeah, but what we want to say too is that like this movie definitely goes after the current movie culture, but it also goes after Broadway, and it also goes after critics, and it goes after actors, and it goes after the audience.
It goes after everybody.
It goes after everybody, but it doesn't do so in a way that you don't still have sympathy for the characters because it's like we're all messed up human beings and we're all like crazy trying to like live through these projections.
You feel tremendous sympathy for Michael Keaton's character. And I think that ultimately, like, it was tough to kind of get back to the Mickey Rourke comparison. Like, his character, I think his character is a little bit more brutal in some ways. Yeah. And also I think, for Oscar voters, it's a movie about a wrestler, and it was that little bit more. I think it's easier if you're doing a movie about a boxer than as a wrestler because, it's just, I don't know. They have that divide in their head.
And easier still if you're doing one about an actor.
But a movie about actors, I just think it has all those right elements, which is going to be really ironic if Michael Keaton does win the Oscar, because it is basically, like you said, Roth, eviscerating all these kind of cynical realities of the business, the campaigning for things, the I got to be loved and all this kind of thing.
But the brilliant thing about this movie, to me, two of the most brilliant things about this movie, I love this movie if you can't tell.
Yeah, it's really great.
Is one, that it was like, I am going to make a movie not about superhero movies by making a movie about superhero movies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's genius. And then the second thing...
I mean, they touch upon even the kind of stuff we do. They talk about the internet and everything. It's really great.
I mean, we both were like...
we looked at each other a couple
of times like, hey. That's cutting a little close to home there. Crisis of conscience.
Losing the die a little bit.
They go after bloggers. They go after critics. I mean, so... The other thing too is that with Michael Keaton's character,
even your iPhone gets criticized.
The whole everything. With his character is that like the whole thing is this kinetic mass of him desperately wanting to be loved. He repeats this line in the play again,
and wanting to be great.
And wanting to be great. He repeats this one line in the play over and over again. You don't love me anymore, and you never will, won't you? And that's what he's saying to the audience as the actor. But it's this desperate drive for connection. But the whole time that he's desperately trying to connect, he's missing every opportunity to do so because he's trying to do it through this crazy projection of a person he can never be.
Yeah.
And he nails it. He nails it.
So he's gonna win.
Okay.
I think
You're like,
his
stop
to lose.
saying big words and just come to a conclusion.
It's his to lose. I will say though, he's got some Bat mojo on his side.
He does.
Because Christian Bale, George Clooney,
and some
Ben
Beetlejuice
Affleck all have, I'm saying the Batman mojo, they all have Oscars. Keaton could be the fourth Batman with an Oscar. So sorry, Val Kilmer.
But then and it's funny, then this movie.
Oh my God, I just realized he's basically playing Val Kilmer too in a way in the movie.
He is.
Holy crap.
Oh my.
And there's even a mention of Clooney. Anyway, we'll
there is
put
a Clooney shout out.
There's a great Clooney shout out. But if he does win and this is like his comeback moment, then the movie totally undermines itself by doing the thing that he can't do in the movie. But anyway,
I love it.
All right. Well, that's our thoughts on whether or not Michael Keaton will win an Oscar and why he might not.
And he needs you.
He needs your support.
Go
see this movie. It's Birdman. It's only opening up on 4 screens right now, but keep it locked here on IGN. We're going to tell you more about the movie if it expands out there.